Hey, how's everybody doing out there? It's Dr. William Lee, and welcome back to BioPulse. I was talking to a patient the other day, a really lovely woman named Carol. She's 65, retired teacher, takes her grandkids to the park every chance she gets. And she looked me right in the eye and said, Dr. Lee, I am doing everything right. I swear, I'm eating healthy. And I believed her, I really did. So I asked, Carol, what did you have for breakfast this morning? She smiled, so proud of herself, and she said, oh, the usual. A big bowl of granola with low-fat yogurt, a glass of orange juice, and one of those protein smoothies from the store. It says all natural on the bottle. And my heart just sank, because Carol had no idea that her perfect, healthy breakfast was actually setting off a silent biochemical war inside her body. A war that spikes her blood sugar higher than a candy bar for breakfast would, and she's not alone. Not even close. Here's the shocking truth that most Americans, especially those of us over 50, never hear from the diet industry. The foods marketed to us as heart healthy, low fat, and natural are often the very foods that sabotage our metabolism, attack our blood vessels, and accelerate aging from the inside out. We're talking about breakfast, the meal that's supposed to set you up for steady energy, focus, and disease defense. Instead, millions of people are starting their day with what I call stealth spike foods. They don't taste sweet necessarily. They might even have a health halo. But the moment they hit your digestive system, your blood glucose goes on a roller coaster ride that ends in a crash every single time. And that crash, it doesn't just make you tired and hungry by 10 in the morning. Over months and years, those repeated spikes fray your body's internal wiring like a rope being rubbed against concrete day after day after day. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine your blood vessels are like a beautiful, flexible garden hose. When you're young and healthy, that hose is smooth inside. Water flows easily, pressure is stable. Now, every time you eat a high sugar, high processed carb breakfast that spikes your glucose, it's like sending shards of glass through that hose. Your body panics, releases a hormone called insulin to shove all that sugar into your cells. And if your cells are already full, well, the sugar gets turned into fat. But the real damage is to the lining of the hose itself. That's your endothelium, the innermost layer of your blood vessels. When glucose spikes, it causes inflammation. It stiffens that beautiful, flexible lining. And over time, boom, high blood pressure, stiff arteries, loss of energy, brain fog, and even a higher risk for dementia, all starting with what you thought was a harmless, healthy breakfast. So why don't we know this? Because the food industry spends billions of dollars confusing us. They'll put a good source of whole grains stamp on a box of cereal that has more sugar than a Twinkie. They'll sell you fat-free yogurt that's packed with fructose syrup to make up for the missing flavor. The FDA allows companies to call something healthy if it meets outdated guidelines that completely ignore the blood sugar spike problem. It's a mess out there, and the people who suffer most are seniors because as we age, our insulin sensitivity naturally declines. That means your body's ability to handle sugar is like an old elastic band. It just doesn't snap back the way it used to. So the same bowl of cereal you ate at 30 without feeling much at 65, that's a full-blown metabolic earthquake. But here's the good news, and I want you to really hear me on this. Your body is not broken. It's incredibly resilient. It just needs you to stop throwing rocks at it every morning. Once you identify which healthy breakfast foods are actually hidden sugar bombs, and once you replace them with foods that stabilize your glucose, reduce inflammation, and feed your natural healing systems, everything changes. Your energy stops crashing, your cravings disappear, your joints hurt less, your mind sharpens. Even your skin starts to look younger because when you stop damaging blood vessels, you start delivering oxygen and nutrients to every cell in your body again. It's like turning a garden hose back on after someone kinked it for years. Now I'm going to walk you through 5 specific breakfasts, 5 healthy morning meals that most people, including doctors sometimes, don't realize are secretly spiking your blood sugar. And I'm not just going to tell you what they are. I'm going to show you why they do what they do, the science behind the spike, and then exactly how to swap them out for breakfast that actually heal you, because you deserve to wake up feeling good, not just surviving, thriving. Your digestive system breaks down food into its smallest components: glucose from carbohydrates, amino acids from protein, and fatty acids from fat. Now, glucose is not the enemy, okay? Your brain runs on glucose. Your muscles need it. The problem is the speed and the amount. Think of your bloodstream like a highway. A slow, steady stream of glucose entering that highway is fine. Your cells can pull off and grab their fuel in an orderly way. But when you eat a breakfast that's high in refined carbohydrates and low in protein, fat, and fiber, that's like dumping 1,000 cars onto the highway all at once in a chaotic pileup. That's a blood sugar spike. Your body panics and sends out a massive SWAT team of insulin whose job is to clear the traffic jam by shoving glucose into your liver, muscles, and fat cells. But here's the kicker. When you spike your blood sugar like this repeatedly, your cells start to get tired of insulin banging on their door. They become resistant. Insulin resistance is the root cause of prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver, and it's directly linked to Alzheimer's disease, which some researchers now call type 3 diabetes. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to wake you up. Now let's bust a huge myth. A lot of people think, well, I don't eat sugary donuts or pancakes with syrup, so I'm fine. I eat healthy breakfasts. And that's exactly where the trap is. One of the biggest offenders is something I call the granola lie. Granola is made from oats, nuts, seeds, and dried fruit, right? Sounds perfect. But most commercial granola is coated in cane sugar, brown rice syrup, honey, or maple syrup. In fact, a single half-cup serving of granola can contain up to 4 teaspoons of added sugar. That's more sugar than a serving of Fruit Loops. But because it's brown and looks rustic, your brain says, healthy. Add a heap of low-fat yogurt, which is often loaded with sugar, to replace the missing fat, plus a glass of orange juice, which has as much sugar as a can of soda, and you've turned a healthy breakfast into a sugar bomb that spikes your glucose higher than a Snickers bar. And I've measured this with continuous glucose monitors on my patients. The data is undeniable. What's the root cause inside your body? It's not just the sugar, it's the absence of what I call breaking nutrients. Fiber, protein, and healthy fats act like brakes on the glucose highway. They slow down digestion so that sugar trickles into your bloodstream slowly. But granola usually has very little fiber relative to its sugar load. Low-fat yogurt has almost no fat to slow absorption, and orange juice has 0 fiber. It's just sugar water with vitamin C. So without those breaks, your blood sugar rockets up, your insulin screams up after it, and then crash. You feel tired, hungry, irritable, and craving more carbs by 10 a.m. That's not a personality flaw, that's biochemistry. Another so-called healthy breakfast is the classic smoothie bowl. You see them all over Instagram and TikTok. Blended frozen fruit, maybe some almond milk topped with more fruit, coconut flakes, and a drizzle of agave. People think they're being so virtuous. But here's the reality. Blending fruit pulverizes the plant cell walls, which means the natural sugars, fructose, are released immediately with no fiber matrix to slow them down. Your body processes a blended fruit smoothie almost like fruit juice, not like whole fruit. And if you add agave syrup, that's actually higher in fructose than high fructose corn syrup. Fructose is particularly nasty because it doesn't trigger insulin the same way glucose does, so your brain doesn't get the "I'm full" signal. You can drink hundreds of sugar calories without feeling satisfied. Meanwhile, your liver is working overtime to convert all that fructose into fat. That's how a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease develops, even in people who don't drink alcohol. And then there's the whole wheat or multigrain toast with margarine or low-fat cream cheese. I see this every single day in my practice. People proudly tell me they switched from white bread to whole wheat, from butter to margarine. And while whole wheat is better than white, it still spikes blood sugar quite significantly, especially if it's highly processed supermarket bread. The glycemic index of many whole wheat breads is actually higher than table sugar. Pair that with margarine, which is full of industrial trans fats and inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids, and you're combining a glucose spike with a pro-inflammatory fat spike. That's a double hit to your blood vessels. Low-fat cream cheese is even worse because to make it low-fat, manufacturers add starches and gums that are rapidly digested into glucose. So you're eating a processed carbohydrate sandwich with processed fat. Your body has no idea what to do with that. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying you can never have these foods again. That's not how I work. I'm about food as medicine, not food as punishment. But I want you to see the truth. Most so-called healthy breakfasts are designed by food engineers, not nutrition scientists. They're designed to be shelf-stable, cheap, and addictive. They are not designed to support your metabolism, your immunity, or your longevity. And the saddest part, millions of people over 50 are eating these breakfasts every single day, thinking they're taking care of their health, when in fact they're slowly fueling inflammation, weight gain, and disease. I'm going to share something that might surprise you. The key to fixing blood sugar spikes isn't just cutting out sugar. That's like trying to stop a leaky faucet by turning off the water to your whole house. No, the real solution is rebuilding your metabolic flexibility, that amazing ability your body has to switch between burning sugar and burning fat for energy. And breakfast is the perfect time to train that skill. Let me give you a metaphor I love. Imagine your metabolism is a fireplace. If you throw a bunch of paper on the fire, it burns hot and fast for a few seconds, then poof, it's gone. That's what refined carbs and sugar do. A quick spike, then nothing, and you're left cold, scrambling for more paper. That's your 10 a.m. crash and craving. But if you throw a thick, dense log on the fire, it burns slowly, steadily, and keeps you warm for hours. That's what protein, healthy fats, and fiber do. So the question isn't just, what do I remove? The question is, what do I add? Because when you add the right macronutrients, you automatically crowd out the bad ones. You don't need willpower, you need biology on your side. So let's talk about the specific nutrients that act like those slow burning logs. First, protein. High quality protein from eggs, yogurt, cottage cheese, or a clean protein powder sends a powerful signal to your body. It stimulates the release of glucagon, a hormone that counteracts insulin and tells your liver to release stored energy. That's metabolic magic. Protein also activates your muscle protein synthesis, which is crucial as we age because after 50, we naturally lose muscle mass every year, a condition called sarcopenia. Less muscle means lower metabolism, weaker bones, higher fall risk. But every time you eat protein at breakfast, you're telling your muscles, hey, don't go anywhere. We need you. And muscles are like glucose sponges. More muscle means your body can clear sugar from your bloodstream faster without needing as much insulin. That's how you reverse insulin resistance, not with drugs, with food. Second, healthy fats. Fats like omega-3s from eggs, avocado, nuts, seeds, or olive oil slow gastric emptying. That means food stays in your stomach longer. So glucose enters your bloodstream at a slow, steady pace, no spike, no crash. Plus, healthy fats are crucial for your cell membranes, your brain, and your immune system. Your body cannot absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K without them. So when I see someone eating a fat-free breakfast, I cringe. They're not just missing out on flavor, they're missing out on nutrients that prevent disease. Third, fiber. And not just any fiber, soluble fiber, the kind found in whole fruits, vegetables, beans, and flax seeds, forms a gel in your gut that literally traps sugar molecules and slows their absorption. It's like putting a sieve in your digestive tract. Insoluble fiber adds bulk and keeps things moving. Together, they create a powerful defense against blood sugar spikes. But here's where most people get confused. They think oatmeal is a high-fiber breakfast, and it can be, if it's steel, cut oats with no added sugar. But instant oatmeal, that's been pulverized, pre-digested almost, so it spikes blood sugar faster than a candy bar. The fiber structure is destroyed. So always read labels and choose intact whole grains, not processed ones. Now, I want to tell you about how these nutrients work on a deeper level inside your blood vessels and immune system. Because we're not just talking about blood sugar. We're talking about chronic inflammation, the silent driver of almost every age-related disease. When your blood sugar spikes repeatedly, it creates something called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, which is a perfect acronym because they age you. AGs are sticky proteins that latch onto your collagen and elastin, the scaffolding that keeps your skin firm, your arteries flexible, your joints cushioned. Once AGEs form, they cause cross-linking, which is like taking a healthy spring and gluing it into a fixed position. Your arteries get stiff, your skin wrinkles, your joints lose mobility. And the inflammation from AGEs also turns off your immune system's natural killer cells, the ones that hunt down cancer cells and viruses. So a high sugar breakfast doesn't just make you tired, it actively suppresses your immunity. But here's the beautiful part. When you eat a breakfast rich in protein, healthy fats, and fiber, you do the opposite. You activate pathways that reduce AGE formation. You support your endothelial progenitor cells, which repair your blood vessels from the inside out. You stimulate the vagus nerve, which connects your gut to your brain and calms inflammation throughout your body. And you promote the growth of beneficial gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, which are like a natural anti-inflammatory medicine made by your own body. The interaction between muscles, gut, and blood vessels is profound. When you eat protein, your muscles release a molecule called interleukin-6, but not the bad kind, the good kind that travels to your liver and tells it to reduce inflammation. When you eat fiber, your gut microbes convert it into butyrate, a compound that strengthens your gut barrier so toxins don't leak into your bloodstream. When you eat healthy fats, your blood vessels release nitric oxide, the most powerful vasodilator in your body, which lowers blood pressure and improves circulation. So one breakfast, one single meal can set off a cascade of healing events that lasts all day long. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Dr. Lee, this sounds great, but I don't have time to cook a fancy breakfast. I'm 70 years old, I live alone, and I just want something simple. I hear you, and I've got you. The most healing breakfasts don't require a chef's kitchen. They don't require expensive ingredients. They just require shifting your choices. For example, instead of a smoothie bowl, try a whole apple with almond butter and a hard boiled egg. Instead of granola and low-fat yogurt, try plain full-fat Greek yogurt with a handful of walnuts and a few fresh berries, not dried. Instead of toast with margarine, Try 2 scrambled eggs cooked in olive oil with a side of sautéed spinach. These aren't fancy. They're real, and they work. The practical application, the daily routine, the specific breakfast swaps that will stabilize your blood sugar, reduce inflammation, and set you up for a day of steady energy, sharp thinking, and disease-fighting power. First, let me give you a simple rule I teach all my patients, especially those over 50. It's called the glucose Goldilocks rule. Not too fast, not too slow, just right. You want to eat a breakfast that takes at least 15 to 20 minutes to digest slowly into your system. That means it must contain 3 things: a palm-sized portion of protein, a thumb-sized portion of healthy fat, and as much non-starchy vegetables or low-sugar fruit as you want. Fiber is your friend. Starch is the saboteur early in the morning because your morning insulin sensitivity is at its lowest. Your body is naturally more insulin resistant in the morning, a phenomenon called the dawn phenomenon. So if you eat carbs first thing, you spike higher than you would eating the same food at lunch. That's why breakfast is the most critical meal to get right. So what does a perfect breakfast look like? Let me give you 3 examples, each taking less than 5 minutes to prepare. Number 1, 2 or 3 eggs, any style, cooked in a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil or a pat of real butter, not margarine. On the side, a handful of spinach or a quarter of an avocado, and a cup of unsweetened green tea or black coffee. That's it. Protein, fat, fiber, polyphenols. Your blood sugar will barely move. Number 2, 1 cup of plain full fat Greek yogurt, not non-fat, not flavored. Add a tablespoon of ground flaxseed or chia seeds, a small handful of walnuts, and a half cup of fresh or frozen blueberries. No honey, no maple syrup, no granola. The yogurt provides protein and probiotics. The seeds provide fiber and omega-3s. The berries provide antioxidants without spiking sugar because the fiber from the seeds and the fat from the yogurt slow everything down. Number 3, a protein smoothie that's actually healthy. Use a scoop of unsweetened whey or plant protein powder, 1 cup of unsweetened almond milk, a handful of spinach or kale, a tablespoon of almond butter or half an avocado, and a half cup of frozen berries. No banana, no dates, no fruit juice, no agave. Blend it and drink slowly. This will keep you full and focused for 4 to 5 hours. Now, let me tell you about timing. I get asked this constantly. Deckerly, when should I eat breakfast? The answer depends on your body. But for most people over 50, especially those struggling with blood sugar, I recommend something called time-restricted eating. That means you eat your first meal of the day between 10 a.m. and noon, and your last meal by 6 or 7 p.m. This gives your body a daily fasting window of at least 14 hours. Why does this matter? Because when you're not eating, your body has a chance to clean house. It activates a process called autophagy, which is like a cellular vacuum cleaner that removes damaged proteins and old mitochondria. Autophagy reduces inflammation, improves insulin sensitivity, and even protects your brain. But if you wake up and eat a carb-heavy breakfast at 7 a.m., you shut down autophagy immediately. Your body is too busy processing sugar to do its repair work. So consider shifting your breakfast later. If you wake up hungry, have a glass of water with a pinch of salt or a cup of unsweetened tea. Hunger passes in waves. Within 20 minutes, it usually disappears. And when you do eat, you'll be eating a real, stabilizing meal, not a reactive, rush sugar fix. Now, let's talk about mistakes. The number 1 mistake I see is people adding hidden sugars to otherwise good breakfasts. They'll have plain Greek yogurt, great, but then they add a teaspoon of honey or agave. That's still sugar. They'll have oatmeal, but then they add dried fruit, which is sugar concentrated without water. A single tablespoon of dried cranberries has as much sugar as 3 fresh cranberries. Another mistake, drinking fruit juice instead of water. Fruit juice is not health food. It is sugar water with some vitamins. If you want vitamin C, eat an orange. You'll get the fiber that protects your blood vessels. Another mistake, eating breakfast cereals that say high protein. Most of those are still highly processed with added sugars and industrial seed oils. Check the label. If the first 3 ingredients include any form of sugar, or if it has more than 5 grams of added sugar per serving, put it back on the shelf. And here's something most people don't know. The order you eat your food matters. If you eat carbs first, even healthy carbs like whole fruit or oatmeal, you spike your blood sugar. But if you eat your protein and fat first, then your carbs, you blunt the spike significantly. So always start your meal with eggs, yogurt, or a few bites of nuts. Then eat your berries or vegetables. This simple sequencing trick, backed by clinical studies, can lower your post-meal glucose by up to 40% without changing a single ingredient. Try it tomorrow. I promise you'll feel the difference. Now,